this is Zoe Heder from Everywhere Venues. Today we're at the Cathedral Parish Centre in Bathurst and we're going to show you how to do all of the photos you need for your Everywhere Venues venue profile. So first of all, the Cathedral Parish Centre is a building that has several venues inside it. So what we're going to do first of all is take photos of the building, and then these will be relevant to all the venues inside that building. So we've got our 360-degree camera here with us today. We've got our digital camera, and we're going to do the accessibility assessment while we're here at the same time. So we're going to stop now and take some photos of the building to show exactly what the building's like, where it's situated, how to get into the building, and the parking that's available for this building. So here we are at the main entrance for the Cathedral Parish Centre. It's really important when you're photographing a venue and a building that you capture the entrances and the exits so that people can see how wide the doorway is, what sort of ramps are available, if there are any steps that they need to go up. This is a really important accessibility aspect of Everywhere Venues. So make sure that you photograph quite thoroughly how people can access the venue. So here we are in the main room in the Cathedral Parish Centre. What we need to do when we're photographing a venue is make sure that we can portray the venue as well as possible. So you can do this by making sure that you turn on all of the lights and making the room as bright as possible. What we're now going to do with our digital camera is take photos from every corner of the room looking inwards. We're going to take photos of the main door to get in and any key features of the venue such as stages, ramps, stairs, special equipment, any real feature of this room that would make a difference to people for them to know about before they book this venue. So I've just taken the photos for this venue. What's really important after taking the photos is that you actually go and have a look at what you've taken, because sometimes you may need to change the settings on your camera to make sure that you can show the room in its best possible light. You may need to change from automatic to, for example, another setting on your camera so that you can really make sure that it's the lightest, brightest, clearest picture you can have of this space. Something that's quite special about Everywhere Venues is our ability to upload 360-degree photos onto our platform. 360-degree photos are really great if you want to encourage people to use your venue if they don't have the time to come and do a site visit. We've been told by our accessibility experts that having a 360-degree photo really helps them decide whether or not a venue meets their accessibility needs. The camera we're using today is the Ricoh Theta. However, you can use any camera you prefer. We've now set up our 360-degree camera on a tripod in the middle of the room. If you look closely at the camera, you will see that this button here is at the back of the camera. And we always want to make sure that we face the front of the camera at the main part of the room we want to focus on when people first see it. So we're focusing on the stage. I've got the Theta app downloaded on my iPhone so that when I leave the room, I can then use the app to trigger the camera. This makes sure that I don't have to be in the photo. So here we are now turning on the Theta camera. We're going to turn on the power button here, and then we're going to turn on this second button which turns on the camera's Wi-Fi. And you can tell it's on if you look at the back and the Wi-Fi light is flashing. There it is there. Okay, so my iPhone has used this camera before. However, the first time you use your Ricoh Theta camera, you will need to turn on the Wi-Fi settings on your iPhone and match it to the Wi-Fi settings from the camera. I'm now going to leave the room and take the 360-degree photo. So we've just finished taking the photos of the Cathedral Parish Centre in Bathurst. The things I'd like you to remember is make sure that you take photos from the outside of the building to let people know how to get in. Make sure you take photos of the entrances so they can see how wide the doorways are, if there are any ramps or steps. They need to know whether or not there's level access into the building. Once you're inside, make sure you turn on all the lights, open the blinds and make the space as bright as possible. When you go into each separate room, make sure you take photographs from each corner looking inwards to get a thorough idea of what it's like inside the room. And if you have a 360-degree camera, if possible, put it on a tripod in the middle of the room and then use the app on your phone to take a photo when you're outside of the room. In the next video, we'll show you how to upload all of your photos into the Everywhere Venues platform.